Drainage. There, Plum Creek timber officials have found the conditions they've been looking for to test a new experimental and, I must say, impressive harvesting technique. Newsbeat's John Rothland has the story.
Like something out of a science fiction movie, but this unique logging practice couldn't be accomplished without this high-tech timber cutting equipment. It allows workers to selectively cut trees from timber stands while having minimal impact on the environment.
To just pick out the trees we want to cut, and then it's able to grab them, and instead of just having them fall kind of every which way, it's able to grab it and then pick it out and set it right in the skid trail. The dead and dying trees that traditionally would have been taken provide home and habitat for some 62 species of wildlife.
If they were using conventional methods, timber companies would be required to cut many of the dying trees here because they threaten the safety of workers should they fall unexpectedly. But this heavy-duty machinery eliminates that risk, so the stands can be better preserved for wildlife habitat.
Because there are also some trees in here that were desirable from a wildlife standpoint, and normally they would have been taken due to safety or other economic considerations. And in this particular timber sale, we left them because they would maintain their benefit to wildlife after the harvest was completed.
Plum Creek officials admit this selective logging practice won't work in all circumstances, but the timber stands here in the Attanum region make it feasible.
Many of the stands in this drainage are mixed species, multi-age stands, which allow us to do the kinds of things that we want to do here.
Plum Creek officials say they'll monitor this test plot after it's been harvested to measure any benefit to the wildlife here. In the meantime, other timber cuts in the region are being considered for this unique logging method. John Rothland reporting for Newsbeat.
And released yesterday takes greater steps than in the past to protect the environment. The plan calls for restricting activities that damage the forest and the animals that live there. One activity that can do serious damage to the environment is timber harvesting, but it doesn't have to. And in the second part of a two-part series tonight, KAP 35's Randy Beeler examines how one timber company is successfully balancing the need to protect the forest with the need for commercial wood products.
We all got to have paper, we got to have boards to build houses. We can't stop doing all that.
That means we can't stop cutting down trees. But Plum Creek Timber Company thinks that logging and preserving the forest and its wildlife don't have to be conflicting goals. Plum Creek is using some unique methods on this Attanum Ridge sale that actually involve not cutting down some trees.
There's several reasons why we think we can do that up here. One of them is the stand itself permits us to do that because it does have multiple age classes, different kinds of species, and an understory that's already well developed.
Using mechanized equipment helps loggers meet that goal.
Having the mechanized equipment up here which can move through this forest and pick out the trees that we want harvested while leaving the trees that we want to leave standing.
This is an example of the kind of tree that selective harvesting can preserve. Now, animals like woodpeckers and other cavity nesting wildlife won't have to look elsewhere for homes just because of timber harvesting. And neither will elk and deer. This entire section of the Upper Attanum area sale will go untouched because it provides cover for big game. Can this type of environmentally conscious logging be profitable?
I think we're able to meet both the economic and the environmental objectives on this sale by having a real good contractor and a pretty good understanding of what we're trying to come up with post-sale.
And worrying about what the forest looks like after logging is something most everyone agrees is long overdue. In the Wenatchee National Forest, Randy Beeler, KAP 35 News.
The environmentally friendly logging methods can't be used everywhere, but Plum Creek thinks that if just a few sites use the method, the forest would be in much better shape. Plum Creek will monitor the experimental logging area in the Attanum region for the next several years to see if any of the theories prove out to be true.
Sentencing